Hey, sixth graders, we are so excited to welcome you virtually into our science classrooms. I'm Mrs. Hyman.
I'm Mrs. Williams.
I'm Ms. Hoffman.
Mr. Hale.
So before our school year starts, we need to make sure that you understand the most important fundamental part of science, which is safety. So we are going to create this video right now for you to understand what the safety rules are. So when we are virtually, you know how to keep things safe in your own home. And when we come back into the classroom, you know how to keep things safe here as well.
Alright guys, rule number 1, make sure that you follow all the directions given by the teacher. Orally, if the teacher says something, and also on the direction sheet. Never perform an experiment or touch any of the equipment until you've been given permission by the teacher. If anything goes wrong, don't try to fix it yourself. Immediately notify your teacher.
All right, the most important feature that you guys need to remember is wearing goggles all the time in any science experiment. Anything that is more than water or more than plastic, you need to have these goggles on tight around your head, making sure that it seals all of this, and it's done through the entire experiment. At the end of the day, you will go ahead and you will put your goggles back into the station where it will be sanitized with using gamma ray light, and it will be clean for you the next day.
Another safety rule is to make sure that you are lab ready, which means when the day that we're doing a lab, you need to make sure that your hair, if it's longer than your shoulder, if it goes past your shoulder, it has to be pulled back in a ponytail. Any jewelry that you have on has to either be able to be tucked into your shirt or removed completely. That includes any dangly necklaces, bracelets, anything, earrings, any of that. And then if you have on long sleeves and you cannot take that long sleeve shirt off, you need to be able to pull your sleeves up to the top. And we all have, or a lot of us have, these digital watches. It's probably not a good idea to wear those the day that we're doing the lab. You don't want anything to happen to those.
Another safety rule, obviously it's very simple here. Do not eat or drink anything during a lab. Harder to accomplish, just be sure, even if you're hungry or thirsty, that you don't bring your food or drink. Something might get in it, or it might get in your experiment and spoil your experiment.
Alright guys, another rule is to make sure that you consider every chemical to be dangerous. Just because it's clear does not mean that it's just water. Also, do not taste, touch, smell any chemical unless you are told to do so. If at any point you are asked to actually smell a chemical, please do not dip your face into it. You have to waft. Waft. If you get any chemicals on you, please also make sure you notify the teacher immediately. Yell it across the room if you need to. Done.
All right, lab rule number 6 is making sure that you have your area clean at all times. Just like my area, if I was to be working today, of course, as Mr. Hale said, no food, no drink, and you're gonna wanna push everything onto the floor or to another area so that you make sure your area is clean and ready to go, so nothing can contaminate any of your experiment, and you have to wait for the teacher permission to start your experiment.
Hey, your science teachers are definitely really good about checking equipment, but you want to make sure that you also follow up behind us and check just on the small chance that we might have missed something. So before you use it, you want to make sure that all glassware is free of any kind of cracks that might expand when it gets heated up. You also want to check any electrical equipment for any frays in the cords and make sure that they are ready to go so there's no electrical fires or burns.
All right, so lab rule number 8, know the location of all of your safety gear in the classroom, including fire blankets, fire extinguishers, eye wash stations, and emergency shower. As I pan over, we're gonna start off with the fire blanket with Mr. Hale.
Remember, this fire blanket is used for smothering the oxygen so that the fire cannot continue when it's on a person. You're not supposed to use it on anything other than people.
And back at the back of the room is the eye wash station with Miss Hyman.
All right, eye wash station. It has a handle right here that once I push it, the water starts to flow out. Notice my hand's not on the handle anymore and the water's still going. In order to turn this off, you have to pull the handle. The reason for that is that if you get something in your eye, you want to be able to flood your eye and get rid of any of the chemicals that might be in it.
And panning over to this side of the room is Miss Williams with the fire extinguisher.
Right here by the door is our fire extinguisher. Right above it are the directions. You want to pass. You are going to pull the pin. You are going to aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. You are going to squeeze the handle and you're going to sweep back and forth.
And going back to the other side of the room near the teacher's desk is Miss Hyman again with our eye wash shower.
Okay, so we have an emergency shower here. It's for if you were to get an extreme amount of chemicals on your body. We don't use any of those types of chemicals in 6th grade science, but because we are a lab, we have to have it in the building. So if you were to get a chemical on you, you would pull the handle, a bunch of water would come off and would drown out and just hopefully flood off those chemicals until emergency personnel can get here.
Rule 9 is very similar to the rule with food. Be sure you have your lab station cleaned up at the end of every experiment. That's going to be sure that it's ready for the next group and that nothing from your station contaminates the next group's lab experiment.
Okay, so one of the last rules that we need to go over is to make sure that you don't force play. It's kind of human nature to goof off and be silly, but we want to make sure that it's not done in an inappropriate time, which is a lab. So, just like Mr. Hale right here, we don't want to run through the lab, we don't want to trip, we don't want to do anything that could cause somebody to get hurt or have an accident, and this force play could get you kicked out of the lab. We'll make sure you're safe.